Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to embrace our digitalization journey and sustainable efforts for Malaysia's tourism industry, in line with the National Tourism Policy 2020-2030, we are delighted to launch our first ever digital calendar, Tourism Malaysia's Calendar of Events and Festivals 2024. With over 273 events in celebration of 4 state-level Visit Malaysia Year programs in Perlis, Perak, Melaka and Kelantan, Malaysia welcomes our...
So for the introduction, the National Tourism Policy or NTP is developed to promote the sustainable growth in the tourism sector. Tourism plays an important role in national development as it contributes to national income, create employment opportunities and encourage culture exchange. This policy focused on improving the quality of tourism service and facilities, strengthening marketing strategies and preserving culture, heritage and environment. All these efforts are important to ensure long-term benefit for both economy and society.
For my part, I will explain the cost and benefit of tourism development in Malaysia. Firstly, tourism development requires the government to spend a large budget on infrastructure such as road, transportation, airport and public facilities. This high cost sometimes forces the government to borrow money, which can increase public debt. For example, in 2020, Malaysia launched a long-term plan to revive the tourism sector after major loss caused by COVID-19. To reduce the burden, the government worked with the private sector through the National Tourism Policy 2020 to 2030 and provide financial incentive. Next, although the cost is high, tourism also brings strong economic benefit. Tourism spend money on food, hotel, transportation and souvenir. This allows the government to collect tax revenue from tourism business. Tourism also support local communities such as craft seller and culture performer. Malaysia's strategic location in Southeast Asia attract both domestic and international tourists, and foreign tourists bring in foreign currency, which helps strengthen the national economy. However, tourism development also causes environmental problems. This exploration of new tourism sites can lead to pollution, habitat destruction, and overuse of natural resources. This can affect wildlife and reduce resources for local communities. In addition, tourism development may cause social issues such as local communities being forced to relocate, which disrupts their traditional lifestyle. Lastly, tourism development creates job opportunities. It provides employment in hotel, transportation, tour service, and small business. Local entrepreneurs can sell food, craft, and souvenirs to tourists. Overall, tourism has reduced unemployment and poverty and improved economic stability. In conclusion, tourist development brings to both cost and benefit, so it must be managed carefully to ensure sustainable growth. Thank you.
So, hi, I will explain about main objective of the National Tourism Policy (NTP) in Malaysia. The National Tourism Policy is introduced by Malaysia government to develop the tourism sector in a more strategic and organized way. Tourism is important because it introduces to the economy, create job opportunity and promote Malaysia internationally. We have three main objectives of this policy. The first, strengthening Malaysia as an international tourism destination. And number 2, promoting sustainable and responsible tourism. And number 3, enhancing service quality and tourist experience. So I will explain for the first objective. So the first objective is international tourism decisions. So the first objective is to make Malaysia more attractive to international tourists. The government promote Malaysia through campaigns like Visit Malaysia and participation in international tourist expos. At the same time, accessibility is improved by increased international flight routes to destinations such as KLIA, Langkawi and Kota Kinabalu. And objective number 2, sustainable tourism. The second objective focus on sustainability. Tourism must be managed properly to avoid environmental damage. For example, VC limit are applied in places like the Perhentian Islands, will exclude tourism in Sabah and Sarawak, helps protect wildlife and support local community. And number 3, service quality and experience. The third objective is to improve tourist certification. The government upgrade public facility and provide training for tourism workers. The use of technology like cashless payments and travel apps also make traveling easily for tourists. So, for the conclusions, the national tourism policy aims to strengthen Malaysia's tourism positions, ensure sustainable development, and improve tourist experience. So, that's all for main objective. Thank you.
Hi everyone, so right now I'm going to briefly explain the National Tourism Policy and the government's role in tourism development in Malaysia. At the federal level, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture or MOTAC is the main policy maker. MOTAC is responsible for planning, coordinating and monitoring tourism activities across the country and making sure tourism strategies align with Malaysia's economic goals. Although tourism existed since the colonial era, government involvement only started in 1953. At that time, tourism was not a major economic focus because Malaysia relied more on traditional sectors like rubber and tin. After that, in 1992, Tourism Malaysia was established under the Ministry of Tourism. Its main role is to promote Malaysia locally and internationally. One of its most successful campaigns is Malaysia Truly Asia, which helped attract more international tourists. Overall, Malaysia's tourism development is strongly supported by government policies and coordination at the federal level. Next, I will explain the implementation strategy of tourism policy in Malaysia. Tourism is an important sector for economic growth, especially for developing countries like Malaysia. The Malaysian government recognizes tourism as a key industry that contributes to economic development. However, tourism policies are only effective if they are properly implemented. Many tourism policies fail or are only partly successful due to weak execution and coordination. Under the 9th Malaysia Plan from 2006 to 2010, Malaysia government focused on strengthening the tourism sector. The main goals were to promote Malaysia as an international tourism destination and to encourage domestic tourism. This plan emphasized improving tourism infrastructure, facilities, product innovation, and sustainable tourism development. The 10th Malaysia Plan, which covered the period from 2011 to 2015, continued these efforts. It focused on developing organic tourism initiatives, better management of existing destinations, and stronger promotional strategies. Malaysia also aims to be among the top 10 countries in the world in terms of global tourism receipts. In addition, the Economic Transformation Program or ETP was introduced to transform Malaysia into a high-income nation. Tourism was identified as one of the national key economic areas under the ETP. The program encouraged private sector investment, create job opportunities, and aimed to increase national income. So in conclusion, the successful implementation of tourism policies through national plans and programs has played an important role in strengthening Malaysia's tourism industry.
So based on SWOT analysis, the policy range include to strong government coordination, increase to tourism revenue, job creation, and the culture preservation. So the next one is weakness, include to funding limitation and slow implementation, uneven development, and lack of skilled workers. The next one is opportunities, include to digital marketing, ecotourism, and community-based tourism, and the international partnership. Meanwhile, the three include to economic uncertainty and pandemic and environmental degradation and competition from countries and national disaster.